All right, let's make this design a little bit more snazzy. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this over, make a copy of it. I'm going to keep this part. I want to make a basketball. We're going to get rid of this part. And then what I want to do is put something else here. So it's maybe instead of athletics. So I'm going to kind of keep this around if I need it, but we'll start here. So let's start by drawing a basketball. Simple. L. So I'm going to make a circle. We'll make that red. And now I just need to draw a line down the middle. So I'm going to just make a point. I'm going to change this, hit escape, so it's done drawing that. But I'm going to change this to white. Oops, that's select here. Oops. And now I'm going to, well, it's red, so I need to change that to white. I need to move that to the front, so Command-Shift, right bracket. And I also need to beef up the point size on this. There we go. So let's make it 10 point. All right, I'm going to now cut and paste that. Actually, let's do this. Let's select all of these and align them. So now they're aligned, and I'm going to select this point here, or this line, and I'm going to Command-C, Command-F, and then rotate. Hold down Shift, and that's going to make that in the middle. So now I'm going to center those two objects, align objects vertically, horizontally. So I've got that. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make another circle. And because I've still got that same point size on it, I'm going to bring that in here. And I'm going to now copy this as well. All right, so one thing that I want to do is make these equidistant, so I may want to move those in slightly. I'm going to select this object and this object together. So I'm just holding Shift to select those two. And I want to group them. So Command G, G for group, or object group, which is there. And so now those are tied together. And you'll notice that in the palette of layers here that I've grouped those two objects. So they're kind of connected. And so what happens now if I select all of those and I use an align, horizontal align, notice it shifted it slightly. So these two objects will be centered perfectly. So it made me a nice little basketball. So now what I could also do here is select all of those. So I've selected this circle, the cross, and those two other circles, creating those arches there. I could group those as well. So Command G. Notice that that turned all of those into a group, and I've got a group within a group. So you can kind of nest everything. But that's nice now because now I can just resize that basketball and move it around as I need to if I want that to be a little bit smaller. Okay, so that's how we can make a quick basketball. Very kind of simple. Next thing I want to do is make kind of a banner. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to first kind of make the width of this banner. Notice it's made that white. I'm going to sample my color and just sample the red here. So that's about the length that I'm going to have. And then I want to make kind of a ribbon corner on those edges. So what I'm going to do is just copy this and then I'm going to shorten one of the sides. So the idea is that I'm going to, oops, kind of move that there. But I want to knock out a V so it's kind of got those ribboned edges like I've got a cut there. So to do that I'm just going to make a triangle on that edge, but actually it's just a diamond shape, and I'm going to rotate it so it creates a diamond. And then I can zoom in on this object. You'll notice that if I select both of those together and align things, again, line, I'm using this align palette all the time. I want to align those the same, and then I want to slide this in so I have this knocked out. I don't want to have any edge here. I want that to be at least on that corner, a little bit beyond that. I'm going to sample the eye using the eyedropper, change that to white, the white artboard or the paper I'm using. So now you can see I've made that kind of ribbon. This would be a great thing to get rid of this shape, simplify it. So I'm going to use the Pathfinder to cut out the minus the front. So I'm going to cut this part out of that shape. So you can see that that simplified that. So the next thing that I want to do with this is I want to cut and copy it, and so it's on the other side as well. So CF and rotate will change that. So you can see I've kind of made that. You could also do the same thing just by mirroring that or using the the reflect tool if you wanted. And I'm going to just kind of place these approximately where I want them. But this would be another example of where I want to select both of these. Let's align them on the center, and then let's group them. And then so as a group, those two objects are selected with this larger part of the ribbon, and I'm going to center those. So now they're both centered. And then we can decide how much offset we want with that. So I'm going to just leave those two together. And then I'm going to go back up to my effects, go to warp, and we're going to do that arch again. And you can see that the bend changes depending on how much we do. And I don't know how I want that. I mean, I kind of like that bend there. I can hit cancel, and you can kind of see what happens when these are further apart, what that effect does. So sometimes it's good once you've spent all that time to build that, how you may want that to look in terms of where that arch is. So I may kind of like that. Let's see how that looks. See, and that's okay. So and notice those are individual shapes, so they kind of work together. So again, I'm going to just copy this over and see. But what might be important with this, if I were to merge these together using that Pathfinder, the Unite, it might change that shape when I use the effect on the arch. So sometimes it's better to not have them join, sometimes it is. So you can kind of decide how you want that. I'm actually going to, I think I'm going to have that banner kind of go underneath like that. We'll see how that works. So now I can select these two and just pull those over. And that way, if I wanted to change the width of this or the length, I could quickly just kind of work that. So now I have that shape as an arch. Now I'm going to align everything. Okay, so now what I want to do is drop that athletics into this arch. So one thing that happens here, you'll notice that the effect affects that vector shape, but you can see that it still kind of remembers the original shape. So one way of eliminating those graphic effects, we want to, basically it's like outlining that. I want to go to Object and Flatten Transparency, and I'm going to just leave everything kind of as is. But once I click this, you'll see what happened there is it converted all of that effect to the vector. So now I've got that shape. So I want to copy and paste this. You can see I'll pull this down, and this is where I wanted to type on a path tool. Now the reason why I pull that separately is I want to keep that black, the type a different color than the ribbon background. So I want to make this type white. And so having those two items separately and stacked helps make that work. So, and again, sometimes it helps to lock that bottom one down. So I did again the Command 2 to lock down the red ribbon, and now I can select the type and fiddle with its spacing. Give it a little bit of breathing room on those edges. See how that works. So now I have a nice little Utah Athletics basketball t-shirt thing. And you can see how I've used a lot of those different tools to kind of make the design. So hopefully that'll give you some tips and ideas on how to start using all the tools fluidly.